So
Right.
I'm as you are, I'm also passionate in this like improving the education system of India
Hmm.
basically. But
True.
I'm little more directed towards the rural sides, or let's say the people who do not have the resources. Let's say we have internet resources. It's up to you. It's up to us
Hmm.
how we are using it. If you are watching
Yeah.
cat videos, it's up to us. If you are watching Udacity videos, it's up to us. But there are some segments of people who do not have access to that resources. Okay.
Hmm.
So, do you have any suggestions like how can we bring them to this ecosystem and can like give them the resource or something like that so that they can also grow?
So I think more from a root level, there are two ways that you can structure this. One of them, and this is something I strongly believe in, is you can have pockets of, how a lot of companies and a lot of educational institutions are doing it. Teach for India is doing it extremely well these days. But you can
Okay.
have pockets of educators go into certain parts of society and start teaching them the basic things that they need. For example, math and a language and a little bit about sciences. So basic things, you can have a distributed learning kind of a thing where you have 10 teachers, they go into 10 different cities, have 10 different groups of students they teach, and then they make them one. So I think that's one way to approach it. The other way I see, and I see this coupled with the field of data science, is that education should be more learner based and not system based. Currently it's this is what we need to do to pass this grade, this is what we need to do to pass this grade. So it's
Yeah.
all system oriented. How do I keep track of people who are there are some students who learn very well 5 days before the exam. There are some
Yeah.
students who learn 1 day each day starting the start of the month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that student can learn equally in 30 days. Some students learn a lot in 5 days. Some students already have a great understanding, so
Uh,
they don't really need
just
to learn.
your
So
voice is breaking. Just
yeah, can you hear better?
uh okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when students have different learning, techniques, and they have different learning curves, they need to also approach the same content in different ways. If I already know 1 + 1 = 2, just because you're teaching the entire class, you just can't teach me the same thing as well. So
Perfect.
it's a thing in education. It's called differentiated instruction. It is how different learners can be given different instruction based on their current understanding of the subject. And I think with so much data and so much volume of data around patterns of how users are interacting with course content, this can be moved towards a way where students have the access and the control to how they learn and not the system. So I think that's one way education can strongly improve. And we need, as a lot of people out there put out as well, that we need disruption in this field. We don't really need evolution anymore because that time is gone.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So your first point makes a lots of sense, like making a packets and distributing in that way. So I also like if you see in terms of India, so India has the largest dropout rate. So like
Yeah.
people are dropping out like after 4 or 5 class 4 or class 5. So what I feel that up to 10th or something like that, if you get an education up to 10th, then from there on you can manage. Like even if you don't have resources, you can manage somehow. But
Yeah.
I think up to 10th, it should be taken very carefully. So like to make people reach at the same level. Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Shantanu, now I think this is the last question. So the last question is, do you want to make any impact on the world before you leave it?
Yeah. So I think that question personally has required a lot of introspection from me as well. But the key thing, the key impact that I personally look for to make in this world is make education not accessible but personal. Because there are a lot of people out there making education accessible, and I strongly trust whoever is out there to make education accessible. And to a large extent, education's accessibility has increased a lot in the couple of years, but education personalization still hasn't, which means people in rural areas can still go on YouTube or go to Coursera and Udacity. They have internet, they have the geophones. They're solving for accessibility very strongly, but they're still not solving for personalization, which means who's going to tell me what I need to learn for what kind of a role and what kind of a job? Nobody's going to tell me that. They're only going to tell me this is, these are 10-20 videos that you need to do this. Why don't you go ahead and do them? So I personally want to solve for personalization with all of the volume that's coming in to the education space on how students learn differently, how they retain differently. So I think that's one of the key impact I want to make, that education would now be looking at a learner based side of things, not just a teacher based or a system based side of things.
Okay. So, like interactive kind of learning, right?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone can learn in their own pace. Everyone can learn exactly what they want to learn and not what the system wants them to learn.
Okay.
I think
So,
that's
have you seen that Black Mirror episode in which you can interactively uh, click on whatever that way? So, is it somehow that way or
similar.
like?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so so where we can find you? Like, if someone wants to interact with you or want to collaborate or want to learn
Mhm.
something from you, so where they can get in contact with you?
So I think LinkedIn is a great place for that, because I'm mostly quite active on LinkedIn. If I don't
Okay,
usually respond to LinkedIn messages due to volume issues, I have my email ID at the bottom of LinkedIn as well. So if there's something really urgent, people can drop a mail, and I think those are the two best ways I could be accessed.
sure. And on all those people who are going to send a connection request, please
Hmm.
send a note with that because he has already lots of connection
Oh,
and he gets a lot of connection request every time. So it makes sense. You should send a connection request note
yeah,
with a connection.
thanks a lot for that.
Okay. Shantanu, thank you so much. I think we had reached to the end, and interview was very insightful. I think the best interview till now on this platform. So let's see how it helps to the like with the people who are going to watch this, and I'll just forward their feedback to you as soon as I get them.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot for this initiative, Sachin. This is a really good thing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shantanu, for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.